when it comes to the habits of pro tires versus everyday tires like you and me. It ends up being the little things that really make that divide. So in this video, we're going to cover the top habits of pro tires that'll take the everyday tire to the next level. One of the main differences I see in the world of amateur tires, everyday tires versus pro tires is organization. I've seen a lot of pictures of desks of everyday fly tires and a lot of desks of pro fly tires. And the vast majority of the time, what you're going to see is an amateur tire is going to have a desk that is, yeah. Where a pro tire is going to have a very tidy desk. They know exactly where everything is all the time, how much they've got of every material they've got, and it's just it's a clean, fast, efficient workspace. Also, when it comes to organization, you don't want all your material laying in front of you when you're only going to use a certain amount of it for a certain fly. So if I'm tying a woolly bugger, I need marabou, I need chenille, I need hackle. I mean, that's basically it. I don't need like all my dubbing. I don't need all my hooks. I just need what I need for that fly. And I'm not going to have anything else on my desk. I'm not saying you need like that thing. But what I am saying is the way my mind works is I need everything open so I know where it is. I know how much I've got all the time. I don't need to open drawers and find stuff, everything like that. I can just take a quick glimpse right here and know, okay, I've got 15 bags of laser dub, but I don't have brown. Greatest thing ever is to be able to see what you've got. That way you always know what you have, and then you don't start a pattern and think, well, I don't have any olive marabou. Who doesn't have olive marabou? Like, all the time. And you've heard me spout the love for these things before, but the Loon bench rings are super cool. They're really cheap. This is most of my ice dub, but I know what I've got all the time just by looking at it. I know the colors, I know how much I've got, and these things make it so much easier. Keeping things within eye shot of you and being able to quickly see how much you've got of everything you need is pretty cool in my eyes. Another habit that I see from pro tires versus amateur tires is getting the most out of their materials. Really not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I still see videos on YouTube of people that waste a lot of material. And as a guy that prides myself on not being wasteful and I try to do my best with this, that kind of drives me crazy because it's so easy to fix. Whenever you tie with corded materials, be it chenille or polar chenille, whatever you're tying with, don't cut them into pre-cut lengths. Hear me out. So to show you what I really mean about not using pre-cut corded material, I've got some F&F like jelly fiber stuff, and I've pre-cut it into like an 8.5 inch section. So I'm going to tie this in, and then I'm going to wrap this toward the eye. So at this point right here, I can probably tie another fly with this, but I have this length of section that I may or may not be able to use in another fly. When all I really had to do was take the whole amount here, like the whole thing, tie it in on one side, wrap it up the shank, and when I cut this, all I have is the next tie-in point for my next fly, and I still have all this to use. Zero waste. Zero. But on the other side of that coin, a pro tire is not scared to cull materials either. And what I mean by culling materials is mostly natural materials. If you go through marabou and you just have, some marabou's just crap. You'll never use it, you can't use it. Some marabou you can fix, some of it's just not worth fixing. Throw that stuff away. You don't need it. You're not going to save it. You're not going to use it later. Throw it away. And that's going to be the case with most strung materials. So like your marabous, your strung schlappen, your strung saddle hackles and stuff like that. It's on a string and woven together. You're going to have bad pieces in there. 100%. Throw them away. Get them out of your way. But one of the main things that I see amateur tires versus pro tires is what I would call tying with a purpose. So first of all, a pro tire is never going to sit down at their desk and say, okay, I wonder what I'm going to tie today. Pro tires sit down already knowing what they're going to tie, how many they're going to tie, and what color they're going to tie. Just 99% of the time. This helps so many different things, especially for the amateur tire. Because if you sit down and tie one fly, you're not going to find that rhythm and groove of tying this one fly. You know, you're going to tie one fly and then you're going to move on to another one, and everything's just it's going to be okay, but you're not going to really learn that pattern. The best way to really learn a pattern is to tie with a purpose and tie a bunch of them at the same time at one sitting or a couple sittings, whatever. But just don't tie just one pheasant tail or just one prince nymph or one double deceiver. Sit down and tie multiple of that one pattern, and your flies will be better. You'll learn them quicker, and you don't have to worry about a bunch of materials everywhere. See the organization tip right before this one. So a lot of these tips will kind of blend in with some others. So yeah, but this one had to be said. Pros tie tight flies. So going back to my tying tips video about thread, everybody needs to get to know their thread really well. I like to stick with maybe 2 different kinds of thread, 1 or 2 different manufacturers. That way, whenever I put a spool of thread in the bobbin, I already know it. I know it. I know the feel of that thread. I know the break strength. I know how much pressure I can put on it without breaking my thread. I'm still gonna break thread. Don't kid yourself. But a pro tire knows the thread intimately. Probably could have used a better word there. Because when you need to put the pressure on materials with the thread that you're tying with, you need to know that break strength. You need to know and flirt with just possibly breaking your thread at any second. So you know you're going to tie the tightest fly you can possibly tie. If you give me a fly that's put together really well, the proportions are great and everything like that, and I can take the body and just spin it around the hook, that's not okay. Not okay. That's not going to last. Just not good. Another thing about tight flies is every thread wrap has a purpose. If you need 2 wraps to tie down a piece of peacock herl, you don't need to use 8 if you're using good thread pressure. This is one of the things that I truly believe nobody can really teach you. This is a feel thing that you just have to learn the hard way. And by the hard way, I mean tying tons of flies, which is what we like to do. So yeah. And probably the biggest pro habit that I see is consistency. Show me a pro tire that's worth anything, and I hate to use the term pro. I feel like that's a little ridiculous, but show me a phenomenal tire, and I'll show you somebody that's going to lay a dozen flies out in front of you, and you're not going to be able to tell a big difference between any of them. The proportions are the same, the tails are the same length, rubber legs are the same length, and there's going to be an echo in the room when I say this because I've said it several times already, but easiest way to do this is to tie multiple of any given pattern. Again, don't just sit down and tie one. Tie a half dozen, whatever it is for you. My strong number is that full dozen. I like to tie a full dozen minimum of any pattern that I'm going to sit down and tie. That's just where I feel like I get in the groove and I'm consistent and I feel like I'm doing the best job that I can possibly do. So in the previous tying tips video, I teamed up with PM Wood Studios to give away a fly hub. So that's what we're going to do right now. Logan Huff, you win. contact me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll get the fly hub sent out to you. And I'll probably throw you some stickers or something too. So, just a little something from me and from PM Wood Studios. Yeah. So this is the Fly Hub XL, a little love for the fly fish in the Ozarks on there. But he also does a small one. So this is the regular Fly Hub, and you'll notice this hole fits the stem of your vise really well. It's got magnets on it to hold flies, hooks, whatever. We're gonna give one of these away for this video. So leave a comment below about what you would like to see me do in the future for these tying tips videos. I've gotten several done by now, and they're pretty cool, and I actually have more fun doing these than I do anything. But leave a comment below as to what you'd like to see in the future in these tying tips videos, and we'll pick a comment and send you the regular fly hub.